It's beautiful. I mean, the design of it, the look and feel, it's gorgeous. It's a little heavy. You know, it's definitely much heavier than any other device. I mean, the Kindle is a third of the weight, if not less. But the screen is gorgeous. It's extremely fast. Some of the applications are just breathtaking. And you know, it's a pretty amazing experience compared to the e-readers that have been out there for the past 10 years, and the Slate-like devices have been out there for 10 years. Well, I don't know. I wouldn't say it's a controversy between Brad and I. Brad and I just had a fun little back and forth about the Kindle versus the iPad, and I think that you know, a one-time device like the Kindle is not the future of computing. It's not the future of reading. It's you know, this device I have right here is a book reader. It's a phone. It's a web browser. It's everything, and the same thing is going to happen to readers. And the iPad is a step in that right direction. You know, the Kindles and these black and white e-ink type devices were just iterative experiences. And it was a technology that I really don't think was ready for mainstream. Well, I think that the answer to the question is to actually talk about the computer, and I think the computer was a 30-year accident, right? The file systems that we have on computers are extremely confusing. You know, my mother calls me up all the time and says, I can't find my browser, I can't figure out how to change the desktop background, I can't find my photos. I've never had that phone call from anyone with an iPhone, because the device is simple. It's just extremely, extremely simple, although it does have a walled garden. And I think that what you're seeing happening is that computing is going to move into a much simpler facet. And the analogy that a lot of people use is cars. You know, when cars first came out, you had to know how to fix your carburetor, or you had to know how to change the oil. Now you don't. It's impossible to change the oil on your car. Like, you have to go to a car manufacturer and they do it. And I think the same thing is going to happen to computing in a large fashion. And devices like the iPhone and the iPad and the Android Nexus One are that next step in computing. You know, I think what's really fascinating right now is that there are a number of major companies that are competing in ways they've never competed before. If you look back, you know, IBM built computers, Microsoft built software, Apple built software and computers, but there was very little overlap in that respect. But now everyone does everything. You know, Apple today announced the iAds experience. They have gaming, they have hardware, they have software, they have movies and a music store, and all these different things that they do, and every single company is doing that. And I think that's where it becomes really fascinating. As it becomes less difficult to make hardware and less difficult to make software, everyone starts to compete in all these different facets. And so that to me is pretty fascinating to see where that's going to go. I think there's going to be a new era of journalists that are journalists/programmers. Columbia University announced a program actually just yesterday of a new joint degree that you can get from the journalism school and the computer science school, where you're a journalist and you're a computer programmer. And I think that there's going to be a lot of that in the future. I also think that when you think about, you know, if you go back 10 years, 20 years, and think about the cameras back then, there were very few people in society that knew how to use them. You had to know how to use an f-stop and an ISO and all these different things. And as far as professional photography, it was a very unique field. You had to be really, really good and fast and quick. Now, everyone has this little journalism device in their pocket, right? Every single person, every person in the next generation knows how to shoot video. They know how to edit it. They know how to take photos, and it's just a natural phenomenon for them, right? There's nothing else to it. And I think that as they move into journalism and they move into the real world, you're going to start to see them thinking about telling stories the way they just tell stories naturally, and it's going to be much different than the way we do it today. I don't think the free. I mean, I think there's going to be free and there's going to be paid. I mean, if you look at successful blogs like Gizmodo that have 100 million users, they'll never, ever, ever charge for their content, because it's a small shop with 12 technology writers, and they can survive off ads, and they can make a very healthy living doing that. Whereas you take, you know, a big magazine like Wired, or even the technology section of the Wall Street Journal, it's a much bigger infrastructure, and they have to charge to a certain degree for their content. and I think that you're going to start to see these dynamic shifts take place between that. What is really interesting is some of the new business models that are starting to crop up, where you have blogs that are doing consulting and writing and creating reports that they sell and all these different things in that nature. So it's not just black and white, like free or not free. I think there's going to be different stepping stones of different ways that companies can make money. What I think is going to happen over the next several years is that you're going to see, Rupert Murdoch believes that people should pay for all content at the Wall Street Journal, and that question will be answered. We don't know if he's right, we don't know if he's wrong, and you're going to see scenarios where you have free content like the BBC and NPR and things like that, and then you have extremely high paid content like the Wall Street Journal, and we'll see what people will pay for. I mean, it's going to be a very interesting sociological experiment that's going to happen in real time. So it's pretty exciting.